Welcome, everyone, to the 2024 NSSR graduation ceremony. Great to see everybody here. I'm Alex Alenikoff, the Dean at NSSR. I want to begin by acknowledging that these past several months have been difficult ones at our university. A strike by student workers briefly disrupted classes during spring break, and student protests over the war in Gaza were answered with the arrival of police on our campus, breaching what we thought had been a red line for the new school. We'd imagined ourselves different from other universities in this city and elsewhere, dealing with difficult issues in sort of a new school sort of way, but we found ourselves a small part of a broader national story. We're now poised to reclaim our leadership. Our campus, students, faculty, and staff have united around the divestment proposal and a report of the Advisory Committee on Investor Responsibility to be presented to the New School Board of Trustees in short order. It will urge that the board approve the committee's report and ratify the community consensus. The protests on campus have been grounded primarily on a humanitarian principle that resonates deeply with the history and values of this university. NSSR was founded, after all, as a university in exile, taking in those facing persecution and grievous harm. There is no doubt, none, of the humanitarian crisis now besetting Palestinians in Gaza, nor can there be any doubt, none, about the horrific tragedy that befell Israelis on October 7th. Any political position that seeks to deny or justify these harms, I say with full conviction, runs counter to this university's core beliefs. Even with resolution of the divestment issue, restorative work for this university will remain, and that work will have to begin with the recognition that all of us, failed in our basic responsibility of providing safety to community members. To students arrested in the early hours of May 3rd, to students prevented by protesters from reaching their dorm rooms, to Jewish students subjected to hateful speech and threatening signs that led them to stay away from classes and the campus, and there's the majority of New School students who took no part in the demonstrations and found their interests largely ignored. There will need to be a reckoning, a lessons learned exercise in days ahead. These events loom large in our minds at this moment. Things up close can block the view of other things kept at a distance. So I'd like for us for a moment to retrieve some other memories. To the graduates, think for instance about your first day in an NSSR class. Remember when you read a book, an article that fundamentally altered the way you thought about your discipline or the world. Recall a time when a classmate made you smile or laugh or pulled you through a tough moment. Reflect on a conversation with a faculty member that complicated what you thought was simple or made simple what you thought was complicated. All of these NSSR moments you will take with you as you move on from here. In facing new opportunities and challenges, you now have the benefit of being equipped with an NSSR education. If we, those of us on this stage, have done our jobs, you've had the intellectual ride of your life. I'm pretty sure you'll be leaving a different person than you were when you entered. And this I know, that we are a different place for you having spent time with us. And I know something else. You didn't do this alone. Others helped you get here and helped you get through. And it would not be inappropriate to turn to them now and show your appreciation. Now, the world. Sometimes it's said that graduates should follow their passion. I don't like this. It strikes me as a bit self-indulgent. I would say this: make for yourself a life that models the world you would like to see. May that world be constituted by intellectual curiosity, moral conviction, and a propensity towards kindness. And when you return here, and return you must, to tell us what you have found in the world, you'll find us continuing to wrestle with the deepest questions facing the academy and the nation. Today we share the pride of your parents, your family members, partners, and friends, and we say congratulations. We begin our program tonight with an address from our student speaker. I now invite Associate Dean Ellen Freeberg to introduce our student speaker, Julia Kennedy from Psychology.
Welcome and congratulations to all the graduates, and welcome to all the family and friends who are here to recognize a really important moment in our students' lives. So our NSSR student graduation speaker this year is Julia Kennedy, and she will be among those receiving the PhD in clinical psychology. Many of you know Julia as a student who's forged ties to and elevated research within the Trauma and Global Mental Health Lab organized by Professor Adam Brown. She's pursued research about the way memories can affect mental health and how various therapeutic approaches might alleviate post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Like so many students in this audience, Julia has committed herself to research and nuanced reflection while making a commitment to improving people's lives. She has mentored adolescents who need greater supportive care. She's trained community-based networks about how to deliver innovative peer-to-peer psychosocial counseling. And she's spent time overseas exploring mental health treatments for asylum seekers. Julia, you've accomplished a great deal while being part of our community, and we thank you for being here and choosing the new school. And now we also thank you for coming forward today to address your fellow graduates.
Hello. Thank you for the introduction, and also thank you to the Dean's Office for the support while writing this speech for tonight. And the faculty, administrators, distinguished guests, and family and friends, thank you for being here to celebrate the graduating class of 2024. And congratulations to my fellow graduates. It's an honor and privilege to have been invited to speak as a representative of my peers here today. When I graduated college, I stumbled upon a piece of research from a group of professors who wondered if the more people knew about their family histories, the better mental health would be. They decided to create a 20-question survey titled "Do You Know?", in which they asked people questions about how much they knew about their origin stories. How did your parents meet? Where does your name come from? It turns out they were right. The more people knew about their families, and by extension themselves, the higher their ratings of self-esteem, empathy, and joy, and less of things like anxiety and depression. These findings have stuck with me throughout my academic, personal, and intellectual journey over the past 6 years at the New School. I came to the New School attempting to understand how stories, memory, and our sense of self contribute to our mental health and well-being. And these studies resonated again and again with my experiences as a member of this community navigating academic and clinical work. My curiosity in the mind began with my appreciation for storytelling. Stories have the remarkable ability to transcend boundaries, bridging cultures, generations, and disciplines. They are the threads that bind us together, reminding us of our shared hopes, fears, and triumphs. Today, many of our family, friends, and loved ones have gathered to celebrate this incredible milestone. There are also people who we wish were here today. And I'd like to acknowledge that it is through their stories that we have written and shared our own. Their resilience in the face of adversity, their courage to pursue dreams, and their unwavering dedication have become the foundation upon which we have built the stories of our lives that we have shared with each other during our time at the New School. In times of uncertainty, it is the stories we carry with us that provide us a sense of stability, connection to our roots, and a glimpse into the possibilities that lie ahead. Graduate school is both a time of growth and intellectual development, but of course there can be times of stress and exhaustion. Our academic trajectories were further shaped by major health, political, climate, and social changes. It was during these moments that my peers and I shared short stories of challenge, success, and laughter. The more I learned about the moments that made my peers who they are and how their stories shaped how they think, the more I felt connected to my own stories and how they would form my future. Walking to classes between 12th and 16th Street, studying for exams, gathering for weekly lab meetings, we would share stories. Sometimes short stories, sometimes long. Some about feeling isolated and overworked. And sometimes simply laughing about how many times you said you're muted during a 3-hour Zoom lecture. Regardless, they would bring us together in meaningful ways in difficult and stressful moments. During the last semester of classes in the clinical psychology program, we learn how to transform from the supervisee into the clinical supervisor, a seminar built on sharing stories of mentorship that will influence the future supervisors we hope to become. During this seminar, I learned of a story from a peer of mine about the sudden loss of their supervisor during clinical training. Understanding how this loss impacted not only their memories of the relationship, but how it has guided their ability to form new connections has shaped my perspective of my own mentorship experiences. And it's moments like this that illuminate for me how stories impact one person, but evolve into our own stories that we'll share in the future. I am in awe of my peers, learning about the many ways in which they have sacrificed, took risks, and juggled many demands in order to pursue their goals. New school students are brave and compassionate intellectuals whose lived experiences, histories, and identities are deeply woven into their work and ambitions. And through my peers and professors, I learned that the importance of our stories lies in their ability to create a future for one another. It's easy to assume that what makes us who we are is simply a reflection of our stories, our memories. But what I've come to learn through my research is that this isn't the whole picture. Through these stories, our identities are also rooted in how we imagine the future, what we might imagine, what we might aspire towards and seek to create is as much who we are now as what has already been. As a researcher, I was interested in identifying mechanisms that contribute to protecting our mental health through times of adversity, and more specifically, during COVID-19. My peers and I surveyed people in New York City, the epicenter of the pandemic at the time, about their mental health. The findings were quite revealing. The most important variable that helped people maintain a sense of well-being during the onset of this pandemic was the extent to which someone maintained a sense of connection between their past self and their future self. The past most certainly shapes us, but these findings underscored how much our imagination, our goals, and our hopes about the future ground us during the most uncertain times. Like the Do You Know survey, students arrive at the new school with diverse histories and stories. And by the time graduation arrives, they have created many more stories as a community. The new school community we built has become a new origin story of our academic pursuits that will connect us as we embark on our next adventures. I know I will come back to the stories shared with me and the ways they enriched my experiences. So as we celebrate ourselves today, may we listen intently to the stories we're being told, remain curious and connected, and leverage our curiosity to making a lasting impact on our future selves. Thank you and congratulations.
Julia, thank you so much for those comments. I would now like to ask Vice Dean Robert Kostreva to present this year's awards to outstanding MA and PhD graduates. Award recipients, would you please come forward to receive your award when we call your name? Vice Dean Kostreva.
Welcome. So this is my favorite day of the year, has always been the favorite day of the year since I've been here, regardless everything that happens during the year. And I hope that for all of you, especially for the graduates, this is the moment when it all comes together and when it will start making sense. And I hope it starts making sense for your family and friends. It definitely is a very special day for everybody on this platform who worked with you and are now gratified that we can see you here graduating. So it's my pleasure to congratulate all of our 2024 graduates on their achievements. We celebrate your talents, your originality, your creativity, your accomplishments in scholarship and creation of knowledge, your capacity to recognize and face the pressing problems of our time, and your ability to seek and find solutions to these challenges. Some of you came here from across the globe. Some have lived nearby, probably around the corner. All of your lives, you have made significant investments, both of time and of money, some of you, to attain a graduate degree. We recognize that. we thank you for your commitment and the sacrifices that you and your families have made. And we look forward to sharing the pride and joy of your many future successes and accomplishments. So we congratulate all of the 2024 graduates, but would like to now recognize the 2024 award recipients who are with us today. The full list of award winners is in your program. So first, the 2024 Outstanding Master of Arts Graduate Awards are presented to, in Anthropology, Victor Evangelista. In Creative Publishing and Critical Journalism, Violet Piper. In Economics, Dong Ding. In Philosophy, Clara Lupi. In Politics, Anmi Lee. Psychology is our largest department, so we have 2 awards for Alicia Sid Vega and Cameron Jane Calafiore. And now the 2024 Doctoral Commencement Awards. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not following my script. So the Distinguished MA Award in Sociology goes to Yoshi Cavado. So we have another person who is out of my script, and that's Peter Bernstein, who gets the Distinguished MA Award in Liberal Studies. Yes. So now the commencement awards for doctoral degree, for the PhD, the ultimate prize in academia. First, the Edith Henry Johnson Memorial Award in Economics, Civil Affairs and Education is shared by 2 recipients and is presented first to Owen Davis. I'm going to read the titles of the dissertations, so please hold your applause until you hear the title. So Owen's title is 3 Essays in Labor Market Dynamics and Institutions. So the Henry Johnson Memorial Award in Economics, Civil Affairs and Education also is presented to Mariam Touré for the dissertation Agricultural Adaptation to Climate Change in Sub-Saharan Africa, Evidence from Senegal. The Hans Jonas Award in Philosophy is presented to Lucas Balestin for a dissertation, Illusion, Terminable and Interminable, Truth, Defense and Ideology. The Alfred Schutz Memorial Award in Philosophy and Sociology is presented to Eva Perez de Vega Steele for dissertation, The Architecture of Human Exceptionalism, Redrawing Our Relationship with Other Species. The Alfred J. Morrow Memorial Award in Psychology is shared by two graduates. First, Keyana Elizabeth Bonagura for the dissertation, An Intersectional Examination of the Associations between Attachment Styles, Depressive Symptoms, and Sexually Minoritized Identity Dimensions for Biracial, Bisexual individuals. And the second recipient of the Morrow Memorial Award in Psychology is Evan Samuel Henrizi for dissertation, The Moral Injuries of Climate Change, Network Analysis of Betrayal and Individualized Responsibility. The next is the Erwin Rock Memorial Award in Psychology, also shared by two graduates. The first is Jessica Engelbrecht for the dissertation, To Protect Yourself or Confront the Problem, ? Moral Gossip in the US and Japan. And the second recipient of the Rock Memorial Award in Psychology is Denise Posch-Jeter for dissertation, Eat, Mate, Kill, Influence of Local Environments and Social Affordances on Animacy Perception and Attribution of Intention. I told you that psychology is our largest department, so there's one more award in psychology. It's the Jeremy D. Safran Award in Psychology, and it's presented to Jack Trevor Friedman for the dissertation, The Relation of Nonverbal Synchrony and Therapeutic Alliance Ruptures. There are two recipients of the Albert Salomon Memorial Award in Sociology. The first is Agnes Sanei for the dissertation, It Doesn't Mean We Should Shut Up, all capitals. Moral Conflicts in the New York Art Activist Scene, 2011-2023. And the second recipient of the Salomon Memorial Award is Santiago Ismael Mandriola for the dissertation, The Making of Financial Inclusion, Payments, Credit, and Technology in Latin American Socioeconomic Life.
Congratulations to all the awardees. Fabulous. Now, the moment has arrived to celebrate the graduates of the academic degree programs at the New School for Social Research. I will ask the chairs and representatives of each program to introduce the candidates for degrees. The official conferral of degrees will occur tomorrow at the Graduate Student University commencement at Arthur Ashe Stadium, but this event is our opportunity to recognize and show our great pride in each and every one of our graduates. Hugh Raffles, Professor and Chair of Anthropology, would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in the Department of Anthropology?
Thank you, Alex. And thank you, everybody, for coming on this special day. Because anthropology is the study of culture, what people say and what they do, we're in the lucky position of being able to study just about everything. These graduating students have worked with retired sailors in Staten Island, oyster fishers in Louisiana, scientists in Taiwan. They've explored mutual aid in Brooklyn, gender in colonial Indonesia, aging in place in Manhattan, and other compelling topics. They've developed their talents in film, photography, and design, as well as in many genres of academic and non-academic writing. The exciting thing about doing this at the New School is that we're a close-knit, intimate department, always eager to talk to each other about our work and to help each other meet our goals. Working together is intellectually challenging, it's demanding, but also quite often it's fun. This, of course, makes commencement a bittersweet time. We're sad to lose our day-to-day contact with these students, but also happy and tremendously proud to honor their accomplishments. It's a privilege to give out these degrees and celebrate the achievement of every one of these students. Some we're looking forward to seeing again in September as they begin the long journey toward their PhDs. The others who are going on elsewhere, we just hope you'll all stay in touch. That said, I have the honor and pleasure to present the candidates for the degrees in anthropology. Will the candidates for the degrees please step forward?
The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts are Ben Ehring, Madeleine Espy, Victor Evangelista, Eric Holmes, Ewan Shannon,
James Miller, Professor of Liberal Studies and Politics and Faculty Director of Creative Publishing and Critical Journalism, would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in Creative Publishing and Critical Journalism program?
Well, you made it. Sometimes this year I wasn't certain we were all going to get across the finish line. It's a privilege to congratulate the graduates of our Master of Arts program in Creative Publishing and Critical Journalism. At a moment when all of us struggle to sift through too much information, some of it simply false, much of it pure propaganda, you have bravely entered the worlds of journalism and publishing in hopes of helping to enlighten readers, to offer information that is reliable, and when your conscience demands it, to help inspire social change. In this way, you have collectively exemplified the restless creativity, quest for innovation, and courage to challenge the status quo that define a large part of this institution's core mission. I'm so proud of you. I now have the honor and pleasure to present the candidates for the degrees in the Creative Publishing program. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts please come forward?
David Tarajin. Nico Neufeld. Palak Godara. Albert Nguyen. Violet Piper. Matenet Touré. Paloma Velasco. Yasmin Hamadeh.
Teresa Giliarducci, Irene and Bernard L. Schwartz, Professor, there you are, of Economics and Policy Analysis. Would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in the Department of Economics?
Right now, I'm speaking to you, the students who have graduated in our department, in the economics department. Congratulations. You are all witnesses to my conversation to them, and you'll meet them soon. Graduates, you have taken a very unusual and non-typical journey in your study of economics. Each of you don't graduate unless you have not only navigated the complexities of political economy, but you've had to master them. In our unique program, you've delved deep into mainstream economics, but you had to know classical, Marxist, Keynesian, and Austrian interpretations of economics. You have done double and triple duty. Thank you very much for working so hard. Your proficiency in math and quantitative reasoning is quite impressive. Every year it gets more impressive, but it doesn't stop there. You are more than economists today. Each of you had said in your applications to our program, and you doubled down with your work with us and your scholarship, that you wanted to make the world better. And your mission, our mission, goes beyond the formal models and the theories that you learned. Our community in our department and our community here aims to promote human rights and to champion shared prosperity. Things are not the way they should be. We need new ideas. Use your knowledge. I'm talking to you in the third and fourth row. Use your knowledge to advocate for justice and equity. You've all declared you wanted to do that. Remember also that economics is not about the numbers and the graphs that we teach and we produce. A past graduate of ours said that she insisted to herself every day, when she saw numbers, she also saw humans. At the end of every day, when she tabulated who had what wealth, what their health status was, she imagined what they look like. Don't forget the humans behind our numbers. Congratulations, graduates. You are economists, and for better or worse, you have a particular privileged role in our society. Your degree and your title as economist will always be part of your identity. Things are not the way they should be. We need new answers, and we need you. Thank you. That's right. That's right. Yes. Now I have the honor and the privilege to present the candidates for the degrees in the Department of Economics. And will you now come forward?
The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts are Jay Ballantyne, Spencer Brown, Patrick Cleary, Lauren Handley, Anna Hope Emerson, Abhik Sengupta, Jisoo Park, Dong Ding, Robert Noble, Lorraine Marsh, Miret Nunes, Danielle Twiss, Adam Jutai, Simon Monette, the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy are Birte Strunk, Barbara Schuster, Andreas Lichtenberger, Piotr Panko, Owen Davis, Mariam Touré,
Pantia Arvid, Associate Professor of Applied Psychology and Chair of the Gender and Sexuality Studies Graduate Certificate. Would you please come forward to present the recipients of the Graduate Certificate in Gender and Sexuality Studies?
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and congratulations. I want to talk a little bit about the importance of gender and sexuality studies today and in general. While studies in gender and sexuality might seem like a niche field of study, it wouldn't be hyperbolic to claim that gender and sexuality cut across most, if not all, of the facets of our daily lives. The field is necessarily an interdisciplinary one, spanning the medical and health sciences, sexology, the social sciences, and the humanities, the latter two being what we focus on at the New School. While gender and sexuality studies and women's studies have a rich and diverse history, it seems even more pressing right now to be focusing in this area, because within the field we interrogate questions related to equity, to identity, power, politics, and privilege. We engage in empirical and theoretical analyses of how categories, for example, categories of identities, for example, sexuality, race, class, geographic location, or age, as well as broader social, political, and economic structures, shape inequity. Within gender and sexuality studies, we can do this from a global scale to the community or institutional level, to the interpersonal or relational level, to the very micro individual or psychic level. Such diversity, breadth, and depth is not only captured by the courses and specific offerings we have in the program, but the amazing work that our certificate recipients do. Their scholarship spans topics such as a feminist analysis of Mohawk and Palatine encounters, the maintenance of heteronormative modes of gender and sexuality, and our relationships with other species. I've had the privilege to work with many of these students over the last year, and I'm really excited to see some of them here, and I now have the honor and pleasure to present the candidates for the Graduate Certificate in Gender and Sexuality Studies. Will the candidates for the degree please step forward? For the certificate, please step forward.
Yoshi Cavado. Jessica Lynn Engelbrecht. Lucas Ballenstein. Eva Perez de Vega Steele. Mariah Guin.
Jeremy Varon, Professor and Chair of History, would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in the Historical Studies program?
Yeah, so I've been invited to say some bon mots about history before wishing bonne chance to our graduates. So let me say that in graduate school, I had friends in a bunch of disciplines, and then we'd have these fierce battles over which discipline was first among equals, like the true jewel in the crown of the humanities and social sciences. And the philosophers would say, we study the conditions by which knowledge itself is possible. And the sociologists would say, we study the ultimate object of, inquiry, human society itself. And the politics folks would say all interactions, including with the natural world, are political, involve issues of power and freedom. The economists would say it's always and forever, the economy's stupid. The anthropologists would say, I could never quite make out what and it appears to change every 5 years. Apparently you study everything under the sun. So had to get an anthropology joke in. And then the historians in our mic drop moment would say, hey, it's all history, right? Everything has a past, an origin story, and possibly a story of its, demise. Nothing is timeless and eternal, including our own, disciplines. So what do historians do? Yes, we study the past not so we can predict the future, but rather to detect patterns, particularly as they pertain to processes of change over time, to at least imagine or anticipate possible futures, some more desirable than others. But there's a normative dimension to it as well. We appeal to history for tales of, triumph and tragedy, heroes and villains, and try to extract usable wisdom so we can chart futures informed by the past that accord with, our values and our hopes and desires for, freedom, equality, and justice, which are really the animating principles of, this entire, division. So, history isn't simply about the past, it's about, creating better futures. It's particularly important in times of crisis when society asks itself, how did we get here? And how can we get to someplace better? I think 9/11 really amplified interest in history, and then the economic crisis and, the neo-fascism that Trump represents, COVID, now a crisis for American universities. So if you watch media, you'll see lots of historians, weighing in. And at their best, they're trying to discharge an important responsibility to illuminate with historical perspective, burning and consequential issues. And I'm absolutely certain that all of our graduates understand this deep sense of mission, and we've tried to equip you with important skills so you can engage in important thinking about important problems from a particular vantage point. And then I hope, this has been one moment in your relationship to history, but that you will carry it, forward throughout your lives. Thank you. So with that, I would like now the honor of presenting the degrees to our master's students who are here today.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts are Jackson Booth, Peter Bernstein, Cyrus Gray, Victoria Romano, Ava Frey Aldenhoven, Ian Sabo,
Paul Kottman, Professor of Comparative Literature and Chair of Liberal Studies, would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in the Liberal Studies program?
So you may have noticed that in some circles the word liberal has become something of an insult. But the first use of the word liberal in the English language was in 1375 as an adjective in the phrase liberal studies, which designated and still designates the objects worthy of a free person. 6.5 centuries later, the phrase remains fundamental. The Committee on Liberal Studies, those studies worthy of free persons, rests on the notion that our students are best served by engaging broadly and deeply with core issues of modern society and thought in the disciplinary context of the New School for Social Research. As is widely acknowledged, a well-educated citizenry is essential to a viable democracy, and the values and abilities cultivated by liberal studies are key. Open-mindedness, the ability to live with uncertainty, responsiveness to the views of others, collaboration and collective deliberation, taking responsibility for one's ideas. These values and abilities are required for self-governance. Less acknowledged is the inverse, the fact that democracy is also essential for liberal studies in secondary schools, colleges, and graduate institutions like this one. Institutions of learning are appropriately alert to the very real burden that democratic societies are called to address, from economic and social difficulties faced by first-generation college students to divided public opinion about wars or affirmative action or admissions policies or school funding. Well-functioning democracies do indeed impose a special burden on colleges and universities. But this burden not only taxes schools and colleges, it also improves them. In Democracy and Education, a great text by New School founder John Dewey, we can read the following: "A democracy is more than a form of government. It's primarily a mode of associated living, of conjoint communicated experience." As Dewey grasped, when the voices at the seminar table are multiplied and diversified, and when seats in the classroom are distributed inclusively and not exclusively, everyone's potential stands a better chance of realization. When educational institutions meet this challenge and burden of democratic life, they become better places of learning, and by the same token, when democracy is depleted, so too are the educational settings that reside there. Liberal studies and democracy need each other if either is to survive. I have the honor and pleasure to present the candidates for the degree in the Committee on Liberal Studies. Will the candidates for the degree please come forward?
The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts are Olivia De Dolori, João Freitas, Mariah Guevin, Nyambura Kinyungo,
James Dodd, Professor and Chair of Philosophy, would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in the Department of Philosophy?
Hello, everyone. On occasions like this one is expected to say something about philosophy that is lofty and inspiring. Something about the vocation of philosophy, about the ideals of a life in truth, or the autonomy of reason. Or perhaps something about the consolation of philosophy in times of darkness and confusion, which never seem to be lacking. Or one turns to emphasizing the central role of philosophy in any liberal arts education worth the name, emphasizing the modern role of the philosopher as educator. And it's always a nice touch to along the way remind these other sciences where they came from. But I'm not going to mention any of that. Instead, I want to speak as a teacher and express my deep gratitude in having been allowed to play a role in this phase of your intellectual career. It is an honor to be a member of this faculty and a source of pride, if often also a little frustration, to be part of the New School. But it has always been a source of joy to share with you the rigors of the seminar, to watch you meet, often with brilliance and always with passion, the challenges of a difficult text, whether it be the elegant dramas of a Plato or the tortured conceptual syntax of a Hegel, and then take part with you in everything else that goes into the cultivation of a genuine life of the mind. You have enriched all of us, It will always be a part of our community wherever you may go. I grew up on the coast of Maine. Maritime communities are rich with expressions for saying farewell. These expressions often suggest a weariness of troubles recently weathered, combined with hopes for a more peaceful future. I don't need to remind you that we have had our share of troubles during your time here, so let me choose an expression that bears a distinct note of hope. As you leave our shores for what comes next, may your winds be fair and your seas following. Now, the thing itself. I now have the honor and pleasure to present the candidates for the degrees in the Department of Philosophy. Will the candidates for the degrees please come forward?
The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts are Siri Manasa Poluru, Xian Shen, Daniel DeWeese, Ben Muratovich, Christopher Hilbert, Annette Stover, Shannon McCon, Thomas Koenigs, Clara Lupi, the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy are Eva Perez de Vega Steele, Lucas Balestin,
Mark Frazier, Professor and Chair of Politics, would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in the Department of Politics?
Good evening. On behalf of the Politics Department, including several of my colleagues who are here tonight, it's my honor to welcome the graduating class of 2024 and their families and friends. The Politics Department is so named for its distinctive approach to the study of politics and power. In fact, in 2008, we changed our name from political science to politics. Unlike the departments of political science or the departments of government that one finds at quite a few other universities, in fact, most other universities in the United States, our name reflects our belief that politics is best studied not as a natural science, subject to some kind of universal set of laws of action, nor certainly in the service of government officials and power, the powerful. Instead, we encourage the study of politics through methods of interpretation and close attention to context. Now, I have said this same set of remarks before at this podium, and I'll say it again tonight, that politics is the most interdisciplinary of disciplines. It has given us the very well-established fields, some of which you've already heard tonight mentioned: political anthropology, political economy, political history, political sociology, political philosophy, and yes, political psychology. We're working on political liberal studies, but I think the remarks just illustrated very well. So anyway, we're working on that. The work of our MA and PhD students graduating tonight reflects our interpretive and interdisciplinary approaches. I've had the great pleasure to work with several of you, and I'm always amazed at your steadfastness, your dedication, your commitment, and your willingness to get the job done when the deadline is approaching. To all of you, to all of the class of 2024, I want to say I admire everything that you've accomplished, all that you've endured, and congratulate you on behalf of all of my colleagues in the politics department. I have the honor and pleasure now to present the candidates for the degrees in politics, and will the candidates please come forward?
David Bernard. Lauren Gage. Anne Milly. Doug Ma. Marcus Mui. Naman Hakaria. The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy are Na Fu, Jan Smoleński,
Now, this intramural squabble that's going on among my colleagues, I just want to remind them that I have a law degree. And we in the law, no, okay, we'll say, please. Okay, back to business. Elżbieta Matynia, Professor of Sociology and Liberal Studies and Chair of Sociology, would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in the Department of Sociology?
Good evening, everybody. With the backgrounds of two wars conducted seemingly far away, this has been a tough year at the universities throughout the country, and those of us here will never forget the spring of 2024. I was trying to think what I could possibly say to you today, and I couldn't. As I often do in such predicaments, I felt I could either read you some illuminating and healing poem, or share with you some relevant personal experience. But I wasn't sure. I didn't know where to start, and I'm still not there. But I gave up a poem, and because I thought about the year that maybe some of you, or perhaps some of your parents, remember, which was 1968. A year of student protests worldwide, protests that all had their own contextual reasons. I wasn't there, but I have friends from my part of the world who led Poland's protests in spring of '68. I think about them as the 68ers, a traumatized generation of dissidents who several years later emerged as leaders in opening worldwide discourse on human rights and strategies for non-violent systemic change. Though the events of '68 brought varied responses to troubling contexts, some really wished those people could actually talk to each other, because at the roots of this surge of protests was something these movements shared, a need for justice. Indeed, the common feature of a 1968 discourse, expressed through the protests in Paris, Prague, Mexico City, Warsaw, Chicago, and here, was overlapping of ethics and politics. It was many years after the collapse of the Berlin Wall that I met a dissident, playwright, essayist, and political prisoner of 1968, Václav Havel. Before elected president of Czechoslovakia, yeah, everybody knew him as the guy who sits in prison all the time. He was known also though for his hugely influential essay published Underground, The Power of the Powerless. Havel believed in the value of dissent and moral acts of resistance, acts of refusal to live in lie. One of our PhD students, and I'm terribly sorry that he's not here today, he could not, but for family reasons, echoes. So one of them echoes Havel's concerns in his dissertation on reclaiming ethical agency. That's a part of the very long title. Reclaiming ethical agency, a project painted on a large canvas of social thought and action, discussing the polycrisis we are facing today and the responsibilities of sociology. His dissertation was inspired by Zygmunt Bauman, a very interesting sociologist, somebody I knew, who wondered whether sociology is perhaps the power of the powerless, even if there is no guarantee that sociological thinking will soften the harsh reality of everyday life. But I think you might agree with me that sociology can make us more sensitive. We need to think and try to understand if we are to succeed in empowering ourselves as individuals or collectively exerting power over our respective contexts. The sociological imagination, to quote one of our classics, Wright Mills, makes us particularly aware of the relationship between personal experience and the wider society. That's why our choices and that's why our voices can count. Perhaps this is why sociology has this peculiar power to crush what's petrified, so that the hard, harsh, and stubborn world can appear more flexible. And that makes us think that our world can be different from now. Whether sociology is the power of the powerless or not, we can feel we are on a solid ground when we claim that sociological thinking widens the scope of freedom. Yours and mine, our freedom. Let me stop right here. Dear masters, newly minted PhDs, dear sociologists, congratulations for all you have learned, critiqued, and proposed, and many thanks to all of you for what we, the whole community of sociology, students and faculty have learned from you. It is my great pleasure and honor to invite the candidates for the degrees in sociology to come forward.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts are Sara Jurczak, Daniela Garcia Moreno, Gustavo Rojas Garcia, Yoshi Cavado, Miguel Díaz Cervantes, Mareid Rillo, The candidate for the degree of Master of Philosophy is Aura Hernandez. The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy are Santiago Ismael Mandriola. Chi Yuan Lin. Agnes Sanei. Fania Noel.
Joan Miller, Professor of Psychology, and Wendy DeAndrea, Associate Professor of Psychology, would you please come forward and present the recipients of the degrees in the Department of Psychology?
Who should go first? Okay. So I wanted to begin with a few comments about psychology as a field of study. We study people as a unit of analysis. We study individuals. Obviously, studying individuals in context and culture and, in a larger context. But I think we also study the everyday. I think what's striking to me is that for the most part in psychology, we don't use a specialized psychological language or scientific language, but we rely on everyday constructs. To give an example, we study self-esteem. There's been references to self-esteem in work presented today. And we study it as the same concept that we study in everyday life. We think we know what self-esteem is. I think this sometimes gets us into trouble. We think we know. We look at it, take a very ethnocentric perspective, and that's not all it is. But there's also a way that our constructs are very intelligible to others. You can study something, tell your grandmother about it, and she will understand, and she will readily critique it, readily apply it as relevant or not to her own experience. So, and also clearly when there's a lot of emphasis in our discipline on giving psychology away to the community, and that also depends on the easy assimilation of our constructs to everyday experience. But on the one hand, I say all this to sort of say psychology is very familiar. But I think those of you who've gone through psychology, it's also highly challenging and demanding. And if anything, the everyday nature of it increases that demandingness. I think in our program, certainly we put an emphasis on research. I think what is striking is that somehow you can't even get through the master's program without doing original research. And research that is certainly going beyond the everyday, extending knowledge in creative ways. I think you also come through our program, particularly coming through the master's program, and are required to become a generalist. I think that, and that has its demandingness, that you really end up taking courses in all areas of psychology, even work that you didn't start out being interested in. But what I think that gives us, and I came from a similar background, is sort of a breadth and perspective and an openness, not only to diverse fields or different perspectives within psychology, but to interdisciplinary work more broadly. It's my privilege to congratulate the class of 2024 in psychology on your outstanding achievements, I think, in research, in social and political engagement, as well as in working towards the type of building a greater concept of community. We are delighted that you've reached this academic marker and wish you all the best in your future education and future work.
As the clinical psychologist in the group, I feel slightly tempted to analyze this intrafamilial interdisciplinary feud. But I'll yield for now to welcome our families and our graduates here. And I'd like to share my wishes for you as I welcome you as colleagues into the field. The study of psychology, like Joan Miller described for us so beautifully right now, is often the study of individuals. And as we approach the study of individuals, we approach this as the study of the central tendency. What is the mean or the typical behavior of the human? But in psychology, if you stay with the mean or the norm, things can become boring really fast. And I don't think anyone came to the new school because they conceive of themselves as normal. Adler says that the only normal people are the ones you don't know very well. But at the New School, I think that we have a place that I like to call the New School of the diamonds in the rough and the second chances. So my hope for you is that you hold the intuition that brought you here and you fortify it with whatever you're taking from this program, the kinship, the knowledge, and the skills. Carl Rogers says that when I look at the world, I feel pessimistic, but when I look at you, I feel optimistic. So I encourage you to hold on to your vision, and not just to make the world better, but to live a life that you love. I want you all to stay weird. As you go forth and fight for inclusion, I want you to know it's okay to be an outlier. And now I have the honor and pleasure and great joy of sharing with my colleague the presentation of the the degrees in psychology. Thank you.
The candidates for the degree of Master of Arts are Kathleen McCoy, Alicia Sid Vega, Cameron Jane Calafiore, Aishwarya Josula, Yoshika Singh Chauhan, Aaron Frazier, Han Bui, Melody Leung, Ali Bebri, Kamila Stamshalova, Maria Marchesi Lunardi, Anna Lushkova, Francesca and Andrada Ungureanu. Daniela Avendano. Savannah Dakila. Monica Machado. Irena Van Meer. Valerie Shusterov and child. The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Clinical Psychology are Jack Trevor Friedman, Kendall Pfeffer, Catherine Leneve Geske, Denise Kokas, Rebecca Raidi Boone, Lindsay Myers and child, Chloe Louise Sherrill and child, Eliane Medina Escobar, Sarah Elizabeth Fuller Berenbaum, Julia Kennedy, Evan Samuel Henrizi and child, Kayana Elizabeth Bonagura and child, Jessica Lynn Engelbrecht, Denise Poche-Jeter, Anne-Catherine Lenner, Juliana Black,
Well, there's something in the water in the psychology department. That's all I know. You know, Elżbieta mentioned in her comments voices and choices. A really interesting way to put it. We hope that we have helped you get the education that you need to make wise choices and also to exercise your voice in the world, whether it's in scholarship, in public life, in your private lives. We wish you the very, very best. It's been a great honor and pleasure working with you all during your time here at the New School, and we look forward to continuing our connection with you in years to come. I think it's time for a big round of applause. So this concludes our recognition ceremony, but you need to listen carefully to what will happen next. As our graduates exit, we invite you to join with us in one of two receptions. We would like psychology graduates, faculty, and guests to go to Woolman Hall, which is on the 5th floor of the Lang building, 5th floor. To get to Woolman Hall, take the elevators outside here to the 4th floor in this building and walk across the bridge to the Lang building. Ushers and signage will help guide you when you exit the elevators. That's psychology. All other graduates and their guests and the rest of our faculty will stay in the Lang Cafe on the 1st floor here, just outside the door, in the Vera List courtyard. I ask the audience to remain seated until the entire academic procession has left. And now, graduates and platform party, if you will please rise. I declare these commencement exercises adjourned.